You know what one of the biggest mistakes people make on camera is? They don't talk to a person, they talk to an object. Wait, what does that mean exactly? You have to use your imagination when you're talking on camera. Have you ever noticed when a smart, capable person feels stiff, awkward, or just off on video? Like when a CEO of a company delivers a video message and it doesn't sound sincere. That person doesn't have command of the camera. Here's the reframe that changes everything. You're not talking to a camera, you are talking to a person. And the moment you forget that, your delivery changes. Your voice flattens, your eyes drift, your energy drops. You start overthinking every word. I see this all the time with executives, founders, even people who are great speakers in real life. They'll say, I'm fine in meetings, fine on a stage, but the second the camera turns on, I freeze. That doesn't mean you're bad on camera. It means you're treating the camera like an object instead of a human. Talking on camera is not a talent, it's a skill. And skills are learned. Real quick, if you're new to my channel, I'm Susan Saravo and I am a media coach. I help leaders distill their message, learn how to kick up their energy, and hit it out of the park in any public speaking situation. And whether that's a media interview, a podcast interview, or speaking on a panel, or even your company town hall. I want to tell you a quick story about a client that I worked with who was a CEO of an organization. He had been with the organization for more than 20 years, started out as an engineer, and worked his way up. He was someone who was really used to being in the weeds of conversations and a lot of back and forth with people. And when it was time for him to start delivering video messages that were more general, he had a really tough time connecting with the camera because he was so used to back and forth conversations with people, and they were debates and they were about details. So we worked together to help him be able to address the camera and share information that was meant for a general audience. And he wasn't going to get feedback. So, like, he was used to hearing the feedback from people in person. But when you're recording on video, you don't get to hear that feedback. You just have to be confident in what you're saying and how you're delivering it by addressing a person. After several weeks of delivering information this way, it became much easier for him and he was able to relax and enjoy the process. It's hard to do when you are still stuck in the ways of communicating that you've been doing for so many years. You have to make the shift both in your mindset and your energy and your thought process. All it takes is practice. All it takes is some coaching and skill development, and you can get there. The most engaging people you watch online, what is it about their camera presence that draws you in and holds your attention? They're engaging because of delivery patterns, their pacing, pauses, energy shifts, eye contact, intention. So here's the first fix, and it's very simple. Visualize one person, not the internet, one human. If that's hard, imagine a friend or imagine someone who really needs to hear what you're about to say. You can actually say their name in your head. When you do that, your language naturally becomes more conversational. You stop sounding scripted. You stop talking at people and start talking with them. Second, look directly into the lens. I know this is uncomfortable for a lot of people, especially if you feel awkward, like you're giving a performance when you're really just sharing information. You have to understand that online, the lens is eye contact. When you look at the flip out screen or above the camera or at yourself in your laptop screen, it signals disconnection, not disinterest, disconnection. And humans are wired to feel that instantly. Third, let's talk about monotone because this one matters. This doesn't mean you need a hype voice. In fact, people can easily be turned off by overperforming energy. What doesn't work is sounding bored, polished, or afraid to pause. Natural variation, intentional pauses, breathing. Those signal confidence. And yes, you may think that saying and is okay since that's how you talk in real life, but filler words are a no-go on video. So, all right, you know what I mean? They stand out way more on video than they do in an in-person conversation. They're signals that your brain is trying to buy some time because perhaps you don't know what you're going to say next, so you fill in the time with meaningless words. That can signal to your audience that you are not very confident. And if you're not a strong speaker who can articulate your message well, that impacts how people view you as a leader. I worked with a client who said, a lot. When we talked about it, he said, oh, that's just a habit I've had my whole life and I'm not going to change. He had given up and said we would have to work around it. When we were editing his videos, we tried to edit out the ums as much as possible. When I shared with him how many ums we had to remove and how much extra time it took to do that, it hit him that this was a problem. He didn't realize how much the ums detracted from his message and frankly made him look bad. You have to be aware. When people finally hear their own patterns objectively, it changes how they approach on camera communication. That's why feedback works. That's why coaching works. With that client, we worked on some strategies to greatly reduce the ums. He hasn't removed them 100%, but it's a huge improvement. And when he's speaking, people are no longer focusing on the massive amount of ums that were dominating his speech. Keep in mind this fact. Feeling awkward on camera does not mean you are awkward. It just means you haven't learned how to see yourself the way your audience already does. And once you stop talking to the camera and start talking to a person, everything gets easier. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to really rev up your confidence on camera, learn how to create succinct, impactful messages, maybe remove the filler words, let's explore working together. You can reach me. Contact information is in the description.